So we're gonna jump right in. Very, very excited for today's conversation. VetPay HCM, a sister company of Granite Peak Veterinary Advisors. I've been fortunate. I've known Gene Marshall here, our business partner, all of 10, 11 years. Um, I always like to surround myself with good quality people that want to do right for clients, exceed expectations. And since I met Gene, that's who he always was for me and my firm. And since meeting Gene, since launching VetPay here in early July, he's brought on Claire and Myra as well. So really assembling a really strong organization. What we were used to, even for our own payroll platform before VetPay, is you had the big boys out there, right? Who came with a higher price point, but really, in my opinion, no to low service. And then you had the other end of the spectrum, which was a much uh, more cost-effective solution, but definitely no to low service. It's tech forward. There was no one to reach out to with any questions or concerns. Gene will get into it, but VetPay here is really like that white glove service for veterinary medicine. So Gene, I will turn this over to you to better introduce yourself, better introduce Claire and Myra, and share a little bit more about VetPay HCM.
Yeah, Jared, thank you for those kind words. Yeah, Jared and I have been working together for over a decade. I was at one of the largest payroll companies for many years. I had a great career. Never want to badmouth the competition. But over the years, and Jared can attest to that, and most of the people on this call probably can, is it all comes down to customer service. Technology is technology, right? Software is software. But if and when things go wrong, is there somebody there to assist? Right? Payroll is important, or timing is very important in payroll. It's not something that can be taken care of next week. I'll get back to you next week. I'm on vacation. It needs to be someone that can address the issue because the employees need to get paid. Things have to get taken care of timely. So that's what sprung the idea when Jared and I started talking about this many months ago. Can we build something better? Right? And we can. And we did. We are working with the best software payroll technology in the industry, right? That's the backbone of everything. That's what's going to drive everything. But as Jared alluded to, Myra and Claire, right? That is the service team, right? Myra and Claire both have many years of industry experience. They're going to be the one point of contact for our clients, right? So if and when things go wrong, because things do come up, whether it's our fault, the client's fault, or maybe the state or the Fed's fault, it needs to get addressed timely. So Myra and Claire will be there, and I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'll give them a chance to talk about themselves and a little bit of what they're going to do for their clients. Um, Payroll drives everything, right? So many of you, are current business owners, you deal with payroll. It all starts with payroll, and then what's around the payroll, whether it's retirement benefits, health benefits, HR, workers' comp, right? All those ancillary things. What I've seen over the years is payroll companies, the larger payroll companies, try to be everything to everybody, right? And we can't all be good at everything, right? So some of those big payroll companies, I won't use their names, they're great at payroll. They also try to do retirement. They also try to do integrated HR or integrated workers' comp and insurance and benefits, and they can't be good at everything. It's just impossible. There's too much going on. So what we built over the past 8 to 10 months is, and I've gone across the country and had countless interviews, meetings with different providers, i.e. 401k. So we have partnered with the best technology 401k company with a fully integrated retirement plan, right? VetPay is not a 401k company. VetPay is not a financial advisor, but we've partnered with what we think is the best for technology. That being said, if a client is very happy where they're at with their 401k and they don't want to move it, that's perfectly fine too. We can manage all those deductions for the retirement plan. With HR, we've partnered with Empower HR. They are a veterinary specific HR company. Many of you may have met Anthony and his team over the years. They attend all the different trade shows. They're an unbelievable company, right? That's who we're going to be using for HR. They can handle anything as simple as the employee manual, safety trainings, LMS, learning management systems. They have a very deep knowledge of the technology that we're using for the payroll system. Whereas the HR company, Empower, if you were to use Empower for HR, they can have access to the payroll function to help with onboarding, to help with benefits management, or even to help with enrollments into different benefits. So that's going to be a huge tool. Jumping to benefits, insurance, so health, dental, vision, all the ancillary benefits. We've partnered with a company called Alera Group. They're based out of Chicago. They are a veterinary specific benefits company. So they know the industry inside and out. They know the trends within the industry. And they're willing to do a full benchmark with a company that already has benefits with somebody else, see where you're at, deep dive, break it down. Is there a better option, or are you in good shape there? They also have the Employee Navigator tool, which can make it fully integrated with VetPay payroll, right? So when the deductions are changed or a new hire is added onto the benefits within the Employee Navigator Ben admin tool, if you will, that feeds directly into payroll, right? So you're not having the employee enroll, making sure you let vet pay or going into vet pay and updating the different contribution amounts or new enrollees if they make changes to the benefits. That's all fully integrated. It's considered a 360 integration is how it's termed in the industry. And then lastly is the workers' comp. So we've partnered with a large workers' comp company or a benefits insurance company, I should say. They can handle everything from workers' comp, EPLI, general liability, business insurances. But the workers' comp is the one piece where there's going to be a benefit with vet pay. So businesses that want to utilize our workers' comp platform through IRMA, that's the name of the company, ERMA, we're going to have a fully integrated workers' comp benefit, pay-as-you-go workers' comp. So I know a lot of people may not be familiar with pay-as-you-go, or pay-as-you-owe is another way that it's been termed, or pay-go workers' comp. The way that that works is it gets integrated with the payroll. So every time a company runs their payroll, we know the workers' comp rates. That money's deducted and the money's moved to the carrier, right? Hartford, Travelers, all the different companies, in real time or on a per pay period basis, I should say. So it's not every quarter you're providing or every month you're providing your payroll reports, paying some, and at the end of the year you have that big audit and maybe you owe money, maybe you get money back. That goes away. It's truly, and it's great for cash flow. It's truly a fully integrated pay-as-you-go workers' comp solution. So that's kind of what we surrounded VetPay with. Now we know some clients are going to utilize those partners that we've worked with, and I think that's going to be the ideal situation. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, or a company can just use us for VetPay. They might be very happy with their broker. Maybe they have a 401k, they're super happy where it's at, perfectly fine. We manage all the deductions, so we can do that as well. And I think it's going to be something that small businesses can scale with, right? Maybe they start out with VetPay for payroll. They don't have a retirement plan yet. Next year they want to add a retirement plan, so we can grow and scale with any business, whether it's one employee or 100 employees. Um, I wanted to turn it over to Myra and Claire. Let them give a quick little backstory on themselves, and then they're going to show, I think Claire's going to show us more of the employee side. What's it look like for an employee that is on a company using VetPay, right? What's it look like for them to review their stubs, change their direct deposit, and all that. And then Myra will take a little bit more deeper dive into the employer portion. What's it look like to process payroll on VetPay? So with that being said, Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe grab the screen and show them around.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Claire. I've been in the customer service industry for 30 years. And then most recently, I was with Paychex Incorporated as a payroll specialist for 15 years. So not only am I very confident about my payroll skills, I know what to expect and what to give, so to speak, in the customer service area. I know what should be expected, and that's top of the line. Um, when it comes to answering questions, I'm very prompt. I don't like to wait, so I don't want to make any of my clients wait. But then it's just more of what do I expect? I know what I expect as a customer, as a client. So that's what I would want to give to all of my clients. Um, as an employee, I like having the ability to have control over what my things are in regards to direct deposit and my taxes. So with the iSolved platform, all of the employees, they will have the capability of making those changes. So they have that feeling of control, but also it helps you as an employer. They don't have to send you an email, or they don't have to call you and say, did you make this change for me? Did you change my address? Did you update my direct deposit? So on and so forth. So they have the capability of logging in whenever they'd like to do that. So I'd like to show you what that would look like for the employee themselves. So when an employee logs in, this is what they would first see. Kind of like a dashboard, if you would like to call it that. The iSolve platform has two different views for the employees. One is called the classic, and then one is called the adaptive. So the classic screen is not so much user-friendly on a phone if you're using a smartphone. It's easier to use when you're on either a laptop or a desktop, and the reason being certain things aren't clickable, and certain screens are larger and you would need a monitor to look at. If you are using our electronic onboarding, where you allow the employee to enter in all of their information from start to finish, it would be best for them to use the classic view. It would be the only view that they would need to put that information in. But the adaptive screen is more user-friendly, and that's what they would see on their phone. And a lot of people use their phones. So we will take a look at what that looks like. So all the employees, when they log in, they'll be able to see all of their history, all of their pay stubs, any of their W-2s if a year end has come and gone. So they have the option of viewing the very last check stub that they had. And there's a lot of information that they can look at really quickly. For example, this particular paycheck that was issued on July 11th. This particular employee has two accounts set up. So me as an employee, I know this is how much that's going into my savings account, and this is how much that'll be going into my checking account. If I wanted to view just that one single pay stub, I would simply click download pay stub. But there is also an option to view multiple pay stubs at once. So let's say I'm applying for a mortgage and the bank wants my last four stubs. I have the capability of choosing the last four and say, there were a whole year's worth here. I can pick and choose which ones. Very easy to download, opens up in a very easy to read PDF. There's also the option for me as an employee to control and change my direct deposits. So I do have the option of multiple accounts if I wanted to put $5 into one savings and another $10 into another savings and the rest into a checking. I have all those options, both flat dollar amounts or percentages. I also do have the option throughout the year to change or update any of my taxes, so both federal and state. And once I make that update, my employer will also receive an email saying that the most current W-4 form or state withholding form has been updated. And you as an employer, you'll have all of that saved electronically. So if ever you're audited, you do have to show actual new hire forms or withholding forms, and this is where it's all housed online for you. The employees do have the option to clock in and out as well through this same website, so they don't have to have different logins or have to visit different websites to do so. They do have the option to clock in and out, as well as meal breaks or just like a small break, so on and so forth. Another option that you can see would be the time off. So employees can see what they have available to them. If your company has multiple accruals, we can set up as many as you'd like. So for this particular company, me as an employee, I have sick hours that I have already taken 24 this year. I also have vacation hours available to me. I'll be able to see how often I accrue, how much time I have left, so on and so forth. This is an example of me asking for some time off, which is very easy. So I would simply select which type of time off I would like. So for this example, let's say I'm asking for some vacation time. I know that I have 24 hours available to me. So if I were to request Monday and Tuesday, August 4th and 5th off, and if I told the system that it's 8 hours per day, if this were approved by my employer, where I have 24 hours available to me, if this was approved, I would then have 8 hours of vacation time for the rest of the year. So I can add notes as well to let my employer know if they would prefer a reason or, whatever it may be. And I would simply submit that. I myself, as an employee, I'll receive an email as well as an email if the employer approved or denied this. And then in my calendar itself, here it is where I asked for the 8 hours for the 4th and the 5th off. So it's still pending. So there is a color code here. It is still pending. And then when the employer approves it, it'll change. And then Myra will be able to show you a little bit of what that looks like on the employer side as well. And does anyone have any questions in regards to the employee view?
People can feel free to put any questions they have too in the chat, and we'll do our best at the end here to get through as many of those as well.
A quick question. Um, for the time clock feature, are they able to punch on mobile? And if so, if they're geofencing?
Correct, yes. So the employer does have that option. They can have either a computer or a tablet at the location, or they can set it up where the employees can clock in and out on their phone as well. And yes, there is a way to set up a geofence where you can hone in on how far you're allowing those employees to clock in and out. There is the option too, where the employee clocks in and out, you'll be able to set like a pin. So if they were walking through the door and they were clocking in and out, or if, say, your geofence is a little bit larger and they were clocking in and out from the parking lot, you would be able to see that pin set on the map.
Thank you.
Oh, great question.
I have a question too. On the calendar that you were showing us, Claire, where it listed like the PTO days that were requested, would it also be listing like my regular schedule as an employee? Like if I'm one that works weekends, does it have, can you set your employees' schedules there? Or is it kind of my own personal calendar?
Yes, so you'd be able to view your set schedule. If the client has scheduling, the scheduling feature, it would set it there as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. I think we're going to turn it over to Myra. Myra is going to tell us about yourself, Myra, but Myra is going to take us through the employer side, what it looks like for the employer, what it looks like to actually process a payroll.
Yep.
So, Myra.
I'm Myra Ginter. I've been in the payroll industry for about 8 years, and I've had experience onboarding clients for about 6 years. And I also have my own business helping out different franchisees, training employees and training clients. And I really enjoy training in general. And so now I get to show you guys around a little bit and show you guys about the software on the employer side. First, I'm going to start off. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, all good.
Okay. First, I'm going to start off as a employer that just has payroll only and no timekeeping or scheduling. And this is what it will look like from an employer view. It is really nice because it starts you off right, showing you right here what is due and what the pay date is. So the payroll due is in blue and the pay date is in pink. And usually it's, if you have a Friday pay date, it's usually due to us by Tuesday afternoon. If you don't want to go through and scrolling on the monthly calendar, there is a PDF version that you can pull for the whole year. And it will show the pay period breakouts as well as when it's due and the pay date. And it will also show you here if it's the last of, or first of the month or last pay of the month or quarter or year. Here you can view any employee information. So if you just wanted to view anything, you can click and hold, say the social security number or the birth date. If you wanted to change information, you can go to employee maintenance and change it here and click save. If you wanted to go to salary, what's really nice about this menu is if you know the keywords, then you can type it in and it will search it for you. So instead of having to memorize all of these screens of where they're located, you just need to know the keywords to bring it up, and then you can add a new salary if you want to. We always recommend adding a new salary instead of editing the current one. That way there's history of all the pay information of what's been changed there. To go and process a payroll for just payroll only, you'll go to payroll processing drawer, payroll entry, and time entry grid. And here you can see, is this large enough for you guys? Yeah, great. Here you can see the salary or rate. So if somebody is just a salary, you can see if they're salary or if they're at an hourly rate here, you can see that too. So you would just enter in under regular, say 80 hours. And then say here it's 72. And then you don't even have to save it. It automatically saves. I'm hitting tab for it to go over into the next column. So I can say, let's say 2 hours of overtime there, right? If you wanted to look at the check individually, you would go to individual time entry. And you can see I'm on Oscar Martinez right now. And you would just click preview check. And here you can see the regular hours and the current dollars and the overtime hours and the overtime dollars for the gross. You can see if there's any vacation that has been accrued, any that's been taken, the available balance. These are the employee taxes. And then this screen is really nice because it also shows the employer taxes. If you wanted to look at this from another individual, you could always go to the list again and just choose another person and preview the check for that person. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty user friendly. It even has like what their withholding here, well, what their tax filing status is up here. And up here has really nice dates too. So like their hiring date, their hourly rate. So you don't have to go searching for that information somewhere else. It's all right on this main screen. And then once you have entered everything into the grid, you would go to process payroll and you would click preview. And usually there are about 5 reports that we would like you to preview before submitting it over to us. But for this demo, I'm going to show you 2 of them. The first one is the payroll summary report. This will show you how much will be impounded from your business bank account and when it will be impounded. Okay, I'm gonna just maximize this a little. Sorry, I have a runny nose. So here you can see if they had any checks, what the check amount would be. Ideally, I believe we're dealing with direct deposits most of the time. So most all of this would be in this column here, direct deposits. And then you also have the tax liabilities, and that would be here. And if there were any billing, it would also be included in this section. And you see here where it says impound date, so 7/23, and the total that's needed for impounding. You can see that total funding for payroll might be different than what we're actually impounding, at least if it comes to, say, like memo calculations for benefits, something like that. That would be where the difference could lie. And that just depends on the different setups that we do. And the next report to pull would be the payroll register. And this report is really nice. It shows all of the employees' individual pay, showing if it's a regular check, if you say you added some bonuses, that could be an additional separate check. So if Jim had a regular check and a bonus check, he might see 2 if that bonus check was not included in the regular check. So here you can just see I'll try to make it as big as I can. The gross wages and the net pay, and if they had direct deposit, what the last 4 of that direct deposit accounts were, the employee taxes here, and then it goes to the next person. And I really like the second to last page because this shows how many vouchers there are for direct deposits, how many live checks, how many employees have been paid, and just the totals. So if you were going off an Excel spreadsheet, you could see like a gross pay match here for a gross pay. And then, yeah, here, same thing, 3 direct deposits, total net pay, total live checks. So those are the ones that I would show you for now. And then I'm gonna go ahead and click submit. So this is as if you, the client, were submitting it to us at VetPay. And then we would receive an email saying this client has submitted their hours. And then we would go in and fully process the payroll after that. We would do a double check. This would be probably the first 2 or 3 times. After you feel like you're comfortable within the software, that's when we would change the submit button to a process button. So that way you would be in control of when processing the payroll is happening. Once the reports have been processed, you won't see these ones because right now it's just been submitted to us. But once the reports have been processed, you would be able, or once the payroll app is processed, you would be able to see it in the reporting drawer here under report archive. And so you would look at the pay date and just do the drop down, and then you could choose. So it's all stored right there. So you could look back at any history that you would like to see. So we don't have to go and send you reports. You could just log in and see it right here. And we can also help you navigate there if you need help. And the next item that I wanted to show you is the timekeeping. So if a client has timekeeping only and payroll, it would still be the same dashboard when you're logging in. You still get this calendar view, which is really nice. And you can still pull the processing schedule for the year. When you go to the payroll processing screen and go to process payroll, it looks a little different. And that's because there are different steps to this. Before you lock the time cards, I always recommend that there's a report that you can pull for verifying the time cards, making sure that all the employees verified their time cards, and that's called the verification report. So if you have like 10 to 20 employees, you might not want to go in individually and look at their cards to see who did this. So this is a really nice report that can be exported for you, and it will show you each employee and the status of that verification. I know that one's small. So here you can see the employee's name, who their supervisor or manager is, as well as if they verified. If they are listed as NA, in this scenario, this person is the manager. So the manager couldn't, the manager can verify it on the employee side when they log in as an employee, but they couldn't verify it on the manager side when they're logged in as manager. For these two people, they're on salary. So how I have it set up right now, it's not applicable for them to go and verify their time card. And so here you can see Tom didn't verify his time card. So I'm going to show you how he would do that. So if Tom was in the classic view, he would go to his time card. It always defaults to the current pay period, so you would have to go over once, and he would click verification unverified and approve it. And so now you can see it went from red to yellow or orange. And you can see that the manager still needs to approve it. I'm going to do it in this screen, but there is a way if you wanted a manager to just be able to approve time cards for the employees, they would be able to have that option to verify the time cards. So here you can check mark it off of manager. So it's kind of like a stoplight, right? Where when you have no verification, it's red, just the employee, it's yellow, and then both, it's green. And then you can go back and say, oh, I forgot who the other person was, right? And you can see that it's Leslie. So we would do that same thing here. and we would go back to process payroll. And if you wanted to, and you still saw some people had not done their verification, you can send time card reminders. So that way they can verify it, especially if it's getting down to the wire and payroll is due. So now I'm just gonna click lock. And all this does is it locks the time card, so nobody can make any changes to it. You can also set it up in the beginning so that nobody can make adjustments to it. We could set it up so that you want them to add adjustments to it. So if they were able to make adjustments up until the time I click lock, that's when no more adjustments could be made. And right now, you can see that commit is the next option, but I do want to show you, if I went to the time entry grid right now, nothing would be shown. And that's because we have not clicked the commit button yet. So just clicking the lock doesn't make all of that information go into the time entry grid. So now I'm going to go ahead and click commit. And now when I go into time entry grid, whoop, yep, so there's unverified time. So it is nice that it won't allow you to go through the whole way if the time cards are not fully verified. And you could see that you could still verify that after locking the cards. You could have the option to not have that after locking the cards. But now I'm gonna go ahead and commit again. All right, now that we see there's no errors. And all of that information from the time cards has now plopped into the time entry grid. So it's really nice, pretty easy. If you wanted to add anything here, you could add it here. So say I wanted to give Donna a $50 reimbursement. So you can still add it here. You can still click tab. It'll save that information. But if you change anything here, when you go back to process payroll, you always want to click the preview button again. And that's because the reports will show the most recent time that you clicked preview. So anytime you make a change in that time entry grid, you just always want to come back to this screen and hit preview so that the reports reflect the most recent change. And then you can go through the same reports that were in the previous screen of when I showed you when it was a payroll only. So this is the payroll summary screen. And again, the same information, checks, direct deposits, tax, and the total here, and the impound date. And here is the payroll register. Again, I like going to this last one, but it's always important to look it through one more time for everybody. And once it looks good, you can click submit. And that now gets sent to us for a notification saying that this client has submitted their hours. And it's the same steps. You'll see the reporting here. So it's really nice having the integration of timekeeping because it's all in one spot. From here, I'm going to show you guys, Claire did a time off request, and I'm going to show you guys how to approve that time off request. Oh, did you submit that, Claire? It shows no pending. If it was submitted, it would show it here for time off requests. But I don't see it here. And then they would go through an approval process that would show you the employee and the time. Okay. And from here, I can show you a little bit about what it would look like for scheduling. And this is what the scheduler looks like. It's really nice because it's color coded and you can have that color coded based on the shifts. This is sorted by employee and you can have it sorted by shift, which is the way I like it. Just having it grouped by colors is easier on the eyes for me. And let's see. If you wanted to set the employee's default schedule up, you can do that and can edit it and change it to a different schedule that's already set up. And then there's a scheduled versus worked hours option. So say I wanted to look at last week's hours versus worked. So you can do that here. You can see the employees' names, the dates that they worked, the shift, the actual start time, the actual end time, and then scheduled hours, worked start, worked end, worked hours, and then the hours variance based on when they were scheduled to work versus when they were actually working. And you can sort this by department, which is really nice if you wanted to do it that way.
Hey, Myra, for the sake of time, because I want to make sure that we do get to some of these questions or all these questions ideally. Because I know
I can stop there if
yeah, well, I'm gonna try to get through some of these questions. Myra, Claire, and I did not introduce David, who is an expert from the software company from iSolved. So I brought him on as an industry expert here for if there's anything that the three of us weren't able to answer here on the spot. So, David, if you're there, if I need you. First question from Tim. I assume there's different fees for adding on scheduling and time clock. So the answer is no. So we are offering an all-inclusive payroll bundle for our clients, right? So that includes everything that we just saw, the payroll, the W-2s, the quarterlies, the direct deposits, garnishments, if applicable, using the time solution, using the scheduling solution, or maybe one or the other, or maybe just payroll at in the beginning, and you're going to scale into the time or the scheduling solution going forward. So we're offering all-inclusive pricing. We are offering the pricing of $25 per employee per month, right? So we're not charging depending on your frequency. Some payroll companies will charge every week or every 2 weeks, depending on your frequency. They'll also charge for quarterlies, or if you're adding garnishments, or if you want them to track your time off accrual and PTO, there's all those different fees. We are all inclusive, fully transparent, $25 per employee per month, and that includes W-2s. So all inclusive. So hopefully that answers your question there, Tim. Um, Dan wrote, does the system automatically identify and select PSDs? I apologize, I don't know what PSD is.
Sorry, I think it's the political subdivision for the local taxes.
Yeah, I can take that one, Gene.
Yeah,
The system
please.
does. The system does. So based off of where the employee lives and where they work, the system's going to automatically assign those PSD codes.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of this solution, especially on the tax side. If you're in those different jurisdictions like Pennsylvania, if you're in Ohio, the system's automatically going to select the correct PSD code as well as the local jurisdictions.
That's great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate that. Yeah, that might be a Pennsylvania question there, it sounds like. Dr. Brian Ashmore wrote, if using the time clock option, do the hours move into payroll automatically? I think, Myra kind of covered that. The answer is certainly yes to that, fully integrated. Caitlin wrote, does payroll automatically drop in hours from the time card system? So I think that answers that question as well. Caitlin, is that what your question was? I don't know if we lost Caitlin, but I think that's what her question is similar, that the punches do feed through to the system on the other end. Will direct deposits be held to the pay date, or will banks have the option to release the funds early? So the way that it works is 2 days prior to the check date, we're going to impound the taxes, the direct deposit amounts and any fees for the payroll 48 hours prior to the check date, right? So Wednesday for a Friday check date, and then the direct deposit is going to hit the employees for a Friday check date on Thursday night overnight. Every employee's bank determines on exactly when they receive those funds when it gets released, but generally overnight, the check date, overnight before the check date is when the employees will get paid, but the money will be impounded 48 hours prior to check date. I might have missed it, but the employer taxes for each payroll run transferred into a holding account. So I think that's what we're just referring to there. Yeah. So when you run the payroll on a Monday or a Tuesday for a Friday check date, on Wednesday, all the funds are going to come over, employer taxes, into our account, and then dispersed to the applicable agencies, Fed, state, so on. Hopefully that answers that question there. In Colorado, will you cover all the taxes for FAMLI? So I think, Dan, that's basically similar to what you covered there with the question about PA.
David.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. Sorry, I was reading Dan up here.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you hear my question there? Sorry.
Yeah. So the family and medical leave, yes. So the system does account for those. In Colorado, there's also those types of taxes throughout the East Coast. You'll find things like SDI taxes and things like that. So the system is configured to be able to cover all the taxes, employee and employer.
Perfect.
Perfect, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. So yeah, I think one thing that I just made a note when Myra was doing her demo there. I think having the ability, kind of that preview, or that kind of one stop before you're submitting payroll, to be able to take a peek at payroll. So being in the industry as long as I've heard horror stories, where somebody put in 400 hours instead of 40 hours, and then submit payroll, and they can't figure out why an extra, $50,000 came out of the account. Well, that's because you added a zero to the hours. So it's nice having that preview account where, you can see the total impound amount, right? And if there's something extremely different about that, then it gives you a chance to go back and take a peek at that. So I know we threw it a lot at you all. I appreciate everybody's time. I think we might a few more minutes if anybody wants to throw in any more questions. I'm happy to answer those.
Gene, will there be any integrations into like bookkeeping platforms, QuickBooks Online?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So that's going to be a huge benefit for clients that are utilizing Granite Peak, for bookkeeping and accounting, and then if they would utilize VetPay. So it's going to be a fully integrated, kind of a general ledger, QuickBooks Online export or integration through the chart of accounts, as well as the ability to give access to somebody at Granite Peak to the VetPay payroll account, right? So they have access to reports in real time, with the client's permission, of course. But so yeah, so we're gonna be very tied together if need be. So that's gonna save a lot of time, effort, when doing quarterly reviews, and certainly year-end taxes, having the ability to have that information at your fingertips for the bookkeeping and the accounting side. So yes, 100%.
Maybe just one more on my end before we wrap up here. Is there a best time to convert? Is it at any point? Is it a monthly, quarterly, annually? Does it mess up any of the quarterly filings or the W-2s?
No, so when a client switches a payroll provider mid-year, it's not as scary as a lot of people think. The employees are only going to get one W-2. So if you're leaving one payroll provider for a new provider, the provider that takes over last is the one that's going to provide the W-2 for the employees at the end of the year-end reporting and all that jazz. Is there a best time? I mean, the best time to switch payroll is January 1st, but being in the industry as long as I have, and I know Myra and Claire can attest to this as well, clients switch payroll every day of the year, the beginning, the middle, and the end. So, if a client's not happy where they're at and they really want to get off that platform, then we'll switch the payroll as soon as possible, right? If it's getting towards the end of a quarter, then maybe we'll wait for a quarter break. That probably makes sense. But to answer your question, there's no time that we can't do it, but there's some times that make more sense than others. That's all. And we'll work with the client on that situation to see where they're at, what service are they using, and I'll be confident that everything's up to date. Because that's the other thing that I come across too is when we take a look at what the prior provider was doing, and we uncover some problems, we want to make sure we take care of those before we start switching things over midstream.
But just real quick, can we still process 1099s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. So if that's all the questions, I really want to thank everyone for their time. On behalf of myself, Claire, and Myra, and I think I can speak for Jared as well. We're beyond excited. There is definitely a need for this. I think we're filling a void. Like I said in the beginning of this was, things can go wrong, and we're not perfect, but we're going to be able to resolve them quickly. And I think if you've been doing payroll with a previous provider, sometimes not having the ability to get things fixed timely can be extremely frustrating. And that's really the void that we're trying to solve.
Outstanding. Thank you, Gene,
Awesome.
Myra, Claire. Thank you to everyone joining. As always, this is being recorded, so it'll be posted later on. If you want to, go back, rewatch or reference it. So thank you again. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you all.